This is Let's Talk. My name is Jim Cunningham, and revisiting a subject that I talked about on yesterday, holding pattern. What does that mean? Holding pattern. This is a part 2, and I trust it will be a short take as well. I went back to review, and I really believe that when you are undergoing a trial, for some of you, God has you in a holding pattern, And on my video on yesterday, we looked up a definition. I went online in Google and I typed in holding pattern. You can do the same as well. Go in on your Google browser and type in holding pattern. I was reflecting on some of the videos that I've recently done dealing with trials. James chapter 1, the need for patience, the need for wisdom when you're praying, the need for faith, right? And so yesterday, while reflecting, these two terms came to mind. I'm like, wow, I remember a pastor talking about this, and I thought it was interesting, even though I've never looked up the two terms to know what they mean, right? I didn't know anything about their origins, but I looked it up on yesterday and I did a video on it. But then I found out after reviewing yesterday's video, I said, well, let's look at this in more in depth, because I found out holding pattern has a spiritual meaning as well. So here's a definition of holding pattern and its origins. It says here, holding pattern comes from the world of aviation. It's a maneuver that a pilot makes when the plane has gotten close to its destination, but it's not allowed to land. What happens then? The plane circles around the airport. In other words, when a plane is not allowed to land, what it does is circles around, right, until landing is available. So here's another meaning. It says holding pattern. If something or someone is in a holding pattern, they remain in the same state or continue to do the same thing while waiting for something to happen. And so I believe, I don't know this yet, but I believe that's what I'm experiencing. That's the signal I got. Because I don't go run down these studies, okay? I just follow the promptings of God's Spirit when I'm studying. And I believe there is some kind of signal. I think God is giving me a sense, because I have been praying what's going on. I've been asking and pleading, and I believe God has me in particular in a holding pattern. And some of you out there may be in a holding pattern going through your trials. And I found out yesterday there's a spiritual meaning behind holding patterns. Check this out. An AI overview says this: in a spiritual context, a holding pattern can refer to a period of waiting or no progress when it seems like God is silent or not providing direction. However, some believe that God uses these times to prepare people for what's ahead, and that being in a holding pattern can lead to spiritual growth, protection, and new perspective. Now, there are 3 categories here that is mentioned. It talks about spiritual preparation, spiritual protection, and having a perspective, right? Now, spiritual protection, under spiritual preparation, they say God may use a holding pattern to prepare someone for what's ahead, such as spiritual growth, emotional strengthening, or intellectual understanding. Under the protection, it says what may seem like a delay could actually be divine protection from unseen dangers. I like that. And then it says, as regarding perspective, a holding pattern can provide a different view of life, leading to insights that might not be gained otherwise. And the illustration, the Bible text that they use, you remember the people of God in the wilderness? God had put them in a holding pattern. They were being tested, not a promise. was just ahead, but they had to be tested. You remember that? And so what they wrote here, it says the Israelites' 40 years of wandering in the desert is a famous example of a holding pattern in Scripture. God used this time to prepare the Israelites for what was to come and to form them into the people who would claim the promised land. So this holding pattern thing, I think it only expands my study, helps me to understand what's going on, because when we are going through a trial and suffering begins to ensue, when you as a Christian begin to really suffer in an area and you are having to trust God, one of the things you don't want to do is, like the children of Israel, get into your situation and complain. And complain or murmuring, you can't afford to do that when you're walking with God. You have to trust Him, right? And I'm finding these studies very interesting because I'm learning, right? And I'm growing. And so I wanted to pass this on to some of you. I'll put the definition here in the comment section for your review. Again, this is like a part 2. It is a short take, so I'm not going to be long. I just wanted to talk about the spiritual meaning of holding pattern. Now, yesterday I talked about it, and I went into the need for endurance. So you can check that out on my timeline. But and also, we're in Reformation Month. We're in Reformation Month. I'm really excited about. I always look forward to the Reformation Month. It's always in October, right? So happy Reformation to those of you who celebrate this time of the year. And tomorrow is Sunday. Today is the 4th day of October. On Saturday, I do have to work today. Tomorrow is Sunday, the Lord's Day. So let's see what will be available for us, what I'll have for you on next time. Until then, God bless.